Okay, I just want to jump in really fast and just say Happy New Year. It's coming. We are not far away. 2025 is just right around the corner. But obviously, you want to talk about Bitcoin just a little bit before the year's over. Kind of look at where I think we're going. Our high was 108,000 so far. And probably the biggest thing to point out right now, at least, is kind of looking at this monthly close that's coming due. The month is over in 4 hours and 20, or I'm sorry, 4 minutes and 22 seconds. And probably the biggest, most important thing to look at when you look at this is you obviously have a month over month. Each one of these candles is 1 month. And you could see that December has been pretty crazy. I mean, it's gone up a lot, but definitely has sold off and created this pretty big tail right here, which obviously we want to look at. I've already shared my concerns about January and kind of where I think we're going to be going. But when we look at this yearly candle, the yearly candle is about to close, which we don't really ever see very often. And of course, based upon the data that's pulling right now, it's not very much. So that's not very exciting at all. Um, Let me see if actually I can. I really thought it was going to pull up. Let's turn this guy to logarithmic and let's see what happens. Okay, so if you really look at the yearly candles, which is pretty insane, it's a lot on the chart here, but lots of candles. You got the red candles occasionally. Where do we sit right now if we were to kind of like get a clearer picture? It's funny that I talk about a clearer picture. There's markings all over this thing. Um, Clearly, we've broken above, right? We've really broken above here. It wouldn't be crazy to have another large green candle, aka next year. And so it's pretty exciting to kind of look at this now and say, wow, we've come a long way, of course. And our, you know, our charts are very exciting, right? There's a lot going on. This year was really good. We went as low as let me hover over this. You can look at the very top of the screen right up here. We went as low as 38,500 this year. We went as high as 108,000, which is pretty dang impressive. Really, 38,000 to 108,000, that's pretty great. So let's kind of take a look at, go back to these smaller time frames where we can find some actually information that's helpful here to look at. So probably the biggest things that I kind of want to look at is actually we'll start monthly and kind of work our way down. So really on the monthly side of things, before the year is over and before the month is over in 2 minutes, I'm expecting this to come down a little bit. And we could see that by taking a look at this chart right here, which is the same chart, but it's the daily viewpoint. And really, when we look at this, the levels that I'm kind of looking at is, when we sold off from 108,000, we came all the way down. When we went back up, we got rejected at 100,000, as you can see right here. So we didn't get above 100,000, which means instead of acting as support, which is what we were hoping for, and then obviously pushing up, it is quite early, like I've mentioned in some of my videos before. And so when we sold off, we came back up. The perfect rejection point was this one, or the round number of 100,000, which I've talked about. So now that we've kind of gone down, where are we? Well, this $92,000 level right here, this yellow line, is a very strong level simply because we need to stay above it with the candle body close. So really kind of the big boxes, right? This yellow line you'll see goes right under here, right about 92,000, right under these body candles right here. Definitely closes above it. This one definitely obviously closes above this one. And then here we are. We got wicks down to this range, wick, 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 but we definitely are staying above it. So the good news is from a January standpoint, as long as we stay above this 92 level, we should be pretty bullish. I just don't know that that's going to happen. And I kind of don't think that's going to happen really based upon the monthly candle. The monthly candle is not looking great. Now, that will all be invalidated if we get a close above $100,000. So it's kind of cool. That's a pretty tight range, 92,000 to $100,000 range. Pretty common and pretty beautiful. Over here, this next lower level, that we have is this yellow line right here. And this yellow line this is our strong level of support here. This was obviously a big run up and then we kind of chopped through here. But this would be our next level as far as the candle closes. And here's obviously our lowest wick. Below those two ranges is pretty much nothing. Like there's not really much stopping it. So I'm kind of looking at 92,000, really need to stay above that. And then obviously this would be a pretty interesting area for me. I would assume that it's going to stay above this level of 87-ish, 87.5. That seems pretty logical. I could see us wicking down to 85, but at the end of the day, we definitely need to stay closing above 85, if not closing above 87, which is probably preferable. Below that, let me explain why there's nothing. The only two other options are the original support. There's going to be a little bit of support probably in here, but nothing much. We haven't even retested any of this with red candles at all. But as I've continued to say, 73, 74,000 is your strongest level of support for sure. And then there's some little ones, kind of below that. But so what's this box? This box is going to be our our futures market, right? Their futures, the CME gap that was created way back over here on November 11th. We created one. I talked about it kind of briefly, really right after it happened. It was filled just obviously a couple of days later. And so that one's kind of done. This is the next open one. And again, it's like a magnet, it kind of pulls towards it. This is the only reason we would see a little bit of a stop right here is if we end up down by this, some of this level, which again, I don't know. Is it possible? Obviously. But I think if we're going to go through this, I don't think we're going to stop much there. I think we're going to go ahead and push all the way down and tap that 74, range where the highs were. If we come down to this level, we're probably going to come down a little bit more. So all that to say, just wanted to make a quick little video kind of talking about the levels that I'm watching. Very excited about kind of what 2025 is going to bring. Definitely going to be talking about some altcoins a little bit as well. For those who are already currently investing in altcoins and some of the projects that I've just been really researching over the past couple of months that I'm just kind of excited about, and we'll see what it ends up doing. But at the end of the day, I'm really paying attention to the Bitcoin market and what it's going to do. So that's really the weekly or the daily chart. And again, if we come back and look at our red candle here, it has officially clicked over. The year candle is done now as well. During my yapping, we have 12 months left of this candle, so it's going to be a minute, guys. So it's going to make sense that we get some retracement, meaning that this will probably be bid up to really right around at least the 50% mark of that. So if I was to throw this on here and get an idea here, uh, 50 is right at 99.8. So in this next month of January, we could see it go up to basically 100 grand, probably get rejected. It could go up and fill the wick up here as well, but it'll probably fill at least 50%. But it's more likely that within the next 60 days, you get some green, but then you get a little bit more red. Why? Because there's all this liquidity in here. Just so much liquidity on the monthly time frame, as you can see. When we look a little bit back, that's a pretty big candle to not be retested with some level of red in there, right? This one was really strong, and then you get a sell off, and then it can kind of continue after that. Um, for those who, man, I went through this whole thing about mean reversion strategy long time ago, man. But anyway, there's a count with the candles that typically appear. It's not very statistically like usable on a daily basis or something, but you do see the pattern a lot where you're going to get a big candle like this, you're going to get a push up green candle, and then you get this sell off on the next candle. That would put the sell off a little bit more into February, but I think that we're just going to see big wicks on this one. I think this will probably be a pretty indecisive candle. We went up a bunch, we went down a bunch, and it kind of closes very similar to this, but just with a much bigger wick. Kind of thing, and then it'll just be off to the races. So we'll see whether it's red or it's green. It doesn't matter. I want to know if we kind of come up here a little bit. I'm really interested if it comes down. If it goes anywhere near the $90,000 mark, I'm probably going to buy a little bit. If it gets anywhere near 85,000, I'm probably going to buy a little bit. I probably won't buy this gap, but I'd probably go ahead and say I'm going to fill up 100% of the rest of my investments into assets if it gets down to like 75, because I want to be a little bit ahead of this, because this would be pretty quick, I think. So we'll see what happens over the next 4 weeks. We're going to get 4 candles out of it. And we're starting off pretty strong red, so I would like to see a little bit of a bid here with some buying, and we'll see what happens. But just had to share. Hope everybody's doing well. Have a great New Year's, and we'll plan on seeing you in 2025.